Hey guys, you all may remember a video that we put out maybe a year or so ago on the Island Armory VR80 box fed shotgun. This was a cool shotgun. I like the fact that I could utilize this for hunting, self-defense. I especially like the fact that it was box fed, because while most semi-auto and pump shotguns give you the benefit of being able to put as many as 5 and sometimes more than that if you get the extended 2 magazine, you know, the issue, especially from a self-defense standpoint, is the reloading of it. You know, you've got a box fed magazine here, and I can make pretty fast reloads of a 5-round magazine a whole lot faster than I can loading it into my magazine tube on a semi-auto or pump shotgun. So that's where the versatility of that came into play. The second thing I liked about it is that it was based on your standard frame of an AR-15 style weapon, one that many of us are very, very familiar with. So having familiarity when it comes to knowing where all of your controls are, knowing the ergonomics of the weapon whenever you're trying to use it is a big help, because what you're dealing with in a high stress situation is you're dealing with a little bit of a loss of muscle memory to a certain degree because of adrenaline and things flowing like that. That's where the benefit of these types of weapons come into play. Why am I saying all that about an old video? Because I now hold in my hands, in my sweaty little shivering excited hands, the VR80 by Island Armory. Everybody's going to want this thing when it comes to SHOT Show. We got our hands on this thing very, very early. I cannot tell you how excited I am to run this beast. If we're trying to compare the VR60 with the VR80, there are a lot of similarities, but there are equally as many things that are different about this shotgun. For one, you'll notice that the upper and lower receiver are both constructed this time from 7075 T6 aluminum. On the old VR60, there was a lot of polymer on that particular weapon, and the VR80 has changed that. Again, we're dealing with some aluminum. Just like the 60, the VR80 also has the very familiar ergonomic controls of the AR-15. So again, we're not trying to rethink and relearn all of our ergonomics and our operations, again, in a high stress situation. It comes standard with 2 5-round magazines, but you can get 9-round magazines, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to get back with you guys on this, it will also run 19-round magazines that are also available. It'll run 2 3/4 and 3-inch shells. I like the fact that you can use 3-inch shells in this thing. It comes with a patented buffer bolt system. Very, very smooth operation of this thing. I didn't find that it had any kind of friction inside of it. It's almost like the bolt is floating inside of the receiver. It comes standard with these front and rear flip-up sights. That is nice, because you're going to pay a lot of money for some aftermarket sights, and in a lot of cases you're not going to get those in many weapons out there in this particular type of configuration. The fluted barrel shroud is an unbelievably fine touch to this weapon. You talk about topping this thing off with a cherry on top by adding that. Some things that I feel really inclined to point out to you guys is the very fact that you've got this rail on top. Again, I like that setup. I'm going to put actually a Holosun optic on top here shortly to show you how that is. They relieve a little bit of the weight right here because they took the Picatinny rail off partially down the handguard here. That's nice because, again, we're dealing with aluminum on this one as opposed to the polymer that we had on the VR60. So by reducing that Picatinny rail that you're really not going to use because no one's putting anything right there, they minimize that weight that you're going to be carrying on this thing. They do have Picatinny rails on the end on 3 different sides, so it comes standard with a sling attachment on here. But you can put some other things on there. I see this side over here being a good place to add on a weapons light because it's going to be within your reach of pull right there, so you're going to be able to access that thing with no problem whatsoever. One of the things that's kind of curious and also very eye-catching is this whole buttstock pistol grip attachment thing that you have here. This is technically a thumb hole. Yes, that is a thumb hole. My thumbs are a lot smaller than what the size of this is, but it was done like this on purpose. I spoke to one of the lead gunsmiths over at Island Armory, and Sean told me that there was a lot of back and forth that went on with the ATF and Rock Island. This gun itself is an import. As with the Sega shotguns of old, which that's a whole different story from what was done with Barack Obama not allowing any of the import of Russian weapons. But the same concept before all of that went down was that there was a, quote, sporting purpose necessary for things like shotguns to be imported a certain way. This shotgun, is being an import, is subjected to the same type of scrutiny that those shotguns were. Because it needs to be a sporting purpose, there's a whole litany of things that I'm not going to go into that apply to this weapon. But if you'll notice, this is not adjustable. And again, we have our thumb hole, lasers. This right here, don't let it turn you off. Let me tell you why. Just like the way the Segas were, you can modify this however you want once you get it. What I mean by that is, they had the foresight to set this thing up to accept this thumb hole / non-telescoping stock to meet the sporting requirements of the ATF for importation purposes. However, you can change both of these out. They simply disassemble just like any AR-15 does. If you take this off and this off, actually it's going to come off in 2 separate pieces. You can put a standard AR-15 grip on this thing just like any other AR-15 or AR-10 that you already own, as well as a telescoping stock if you so choose. That's perfectly legal for you to do as the new owner. Island Armory simply can't import this thing in that particular condition. It's totally legal to do that. I'm not telling you something that's going to get you in trouble. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to do another video after this one with that whole process. I'm going to change out this buttstock. I'm going to put a nice telescoping buttstock on it. I'm going to put a really cool, ergonomically friendly grip on that thing. Now, I will say this, after shooting this thing quite a bit, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. For me, it fits my style. It fits where I want to be in terms of my controls, my length of pull, everything. Look, if you're in California or some of these non-free states, maybe this is a thing for you. Maybe this is, well, I doubt California will ever see one of these. But some of these states that are kind of weird about their gun laws, this may be the way it has to be kept all the time. However, I live in the great state of Louisiana. I'm a real big fan of this massive charging handle. I like the way this thing sticks out. It's got the holes in it that are going to give me a little bit of grip in the event that I'm wearing gloves or my hands are wet. I like that. I like that a lot because that's something that, again, we're talking about high stress situations if you're using a shotgun for defensive purposes. That's one thing that you're not going to have to think about. You're not going to have to look at this little bitty peg that sticks out. You got something that's going to work good. Also, how does that come into play also from a beneficial standpoint? 3-gun matches. This thing is ideal for running 3-gun. That's going to accelerate your charging of this bolt. Another thing that's going to help you out is this catch over here. It's a very oversized paddle. That's going to give you the opportunity to really get in there and not have to focus on where you're going whenever you're sending that bolt forward. You just slap the side of the gun and it's going forward. But how does it shoot? Let's find out. One thing that I would like to point out in terms of loading your rounds is that, as with anything else, there's always kind of a new trick. Obviously, your first round going in is very easy. Your second round going in, I like to push my thumb down just to give it a little bit of a start, and then that brass goes in. But if you'll notice, the front of your brass is going to hang up on the lip of the next round below it, back in there. The easiest way to get past that, and I will put my magazine base on the floor, like on the actual table or my surface like that, and if you push down gently, it'll actually ramp that thing up. What's happening is it'll hit right there, and then when you push down gently on the back, it'll allow that lip to jump over that brass. I know that's a minor thing, but it'll frustrate you if you sit here and try to struggle with these rounds going in, as opposed to just doing that little bit of a nice little tug that you have right there. Again, it'll hit the brass and you just push the bottom down like that, and it hops right over that piece of brass and loads a whole lot faster. All right, full magazine. Goes in very nicely. You see my bolts up. Next round is ready to go. The cool thing, again, is the fact that I have this massive paddle on the side over there. I like the fact that, again, if I'm high stress situation, it's just a matter like that. Bolt goes forward, everything's good to go. On safe, again, we do have ambidextrous controls. If you're a lefty, you're gonna like that. I also like the fact that if you're one of those kind of guys who just likes to work your safety selector switch from the trigger finger, that's fine too. It's plenty big on the left-hand side also, so your thumb is going to reach it perfectly. Again, those are things that are important to me when I'm dealing with a high-stress situation. Tired of hearing me talk? All right, guys, took the jacket off. It's starting to get hot out here. Starting to get fun out here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do this exercise that you see me do a lot of times with shotguns. I'm somewhat simulating the self-defense nature of a shotgun along with the sporting nature, the hunting nature of a shotgun. I've got steel here. Each time I hit one of those torso-shaped steel, it's going to launch a clay pigeon, a skeet, up into the air. So it's going to force me to change my static shooting, because obviously even a shooter that shoots as poorly as me is going to hit all 3 of these pieces of steel. However, can I change my direction and my complexion of how I'm shooting and what I'm shooting at that quickly to go from a torso to a flying object that's much smaller than that steel? And can I do it with a shotgun with AR-15 style sights? That in itself lends a little bit of a challenge. Again, from a self-defense standpoint, that's to be expected. But this is going to be a little bit different. Who shoots skeet with flip-up sights styled for an AR-15? I am. I hope. All right, I got 2 magazines fully loaded, 5 and 5 in my back pocket here. That's going to give me 10 rounds to shoot at 6 different targets. Let's hope I don't need 15 rounds because I don't have it. Got that one. Got that one. Oh, here's number 4. So what do? There's no way I'm going to make this this shot. I'm 4 for 4 right now. I've got 1 round left. I know I can't change fast enough. Let me try that. Let me see if I can drop my mag. I know I couldn't retrieve it from my back pocket fast enough, but let me see if I can. No, there's no way. There's no way because I got to send the bolt forward too. Let's give it a shot, guys. No, it didn't drop. It didn't drop. All right, well, since I screwed the pooch on that one, see my 5 bottles over here? Let me give those a shot. See if I can knock all of them down. I missed one. That's normal for me. I usually miss more than one. Shows you how much fun this thing is. You see how fast it is? Let me show you real quick. A lot of people worry about outrunning the gun. We can pull triggers pretty fast, you and I can. In a lot of cases, I have found that when dealing with, especially when you deal with, say, like the Benellis or the Remingtons that have like the double piston system, that's an amazing system for taming recoil. And we have one similar to that here because, as you see, it's not much recoil. But in a lot of times, you can outrun the action. You can outrun the bolt. So let me see that real quick. I'm just curious because, again, if we're talking about a self-defense or even a hunting situation, I want to know if I can outrun my bolt. I want to know if I can outrun the action of the gun because, let's face it, I don't want to shoot that fast if I know that I'm going to be ahead of myself of sending that next round going forward. So let me load these next 5 rounds up and let's try that. Okay, I want you to be able to see this up close. I'm going to do my best to outrun this thing. I'm going to pull as fast as I can. All right. Hey, it got hot. It got hot. I can tell I'm right near where all the good stuff is taking place. I didn't have a consistent trigger pull, so I'm going to load another one up real quick. But the first, I guess, 2 or 3 rounds, I could not outrun the action. All right, second round at this. Let's see. Again, I'm just trying to outrun the action as best I can. I think what threw me is the recoil kind of knocked my headgear, my Air Pro back a little bit. So it kind of paused me a little bit. But I'm going to try to go as fast as I can, all 5 rounds. I can't outrun it. Maybe the Jerry Miculeks of the world can, but I can't make this thing hiccup by pulling the trigger as fast as I can. Most folks who know me know that I'm a pretty nice guy. I never use the word hate. I hate the Texas Star. Folks like Max Michel and JJ Racaza, they make these things look about as challenging as playing with Legos is to me. I know you guys like to see me miss when I shoot. This might be your chance. I hate these things. Well, it helps when 3 of them fall off when you shoot. This thing would be perfect for 3-gun shooting. I got a bottle left over there. All right, thank you. And nothing else to shoot at. Oh, I got the cow head. Now I'm empty. This thing would be ideal for 3-gun shooting. Changing position is very, very simple with this thing. Again, it's got a good feel to it. Just the familiar nature of the ergonomics is probably the biggest benefit that I see of the VR80 at this point. Now, as we all know, shotguns can and are used on a regular basis to take big game, to take game in general. What I've got here is I have some 12 gauge Winchester PDX-1 mean looking 1-ounce slugs that I'm going to run in this Rock Island Armory VR80. I got a chicken sitting out there, a little white chicken, about 50, 55, 56 yards away. I am no crack shot, but I think this gun is capable of hitting. 12 gauge slug at 50 yards. Missed it with the first shot. It's hitting something. It might be hitting that tree right behind it. That hit steel. That hit the chicken. I got one left. This obviously is a chicken hunting machine, if you so choose. That's pretty cool. That is very cool. 1 ounce Winchester 12 gauge shotgun slug at, I'll step it off, but it's about 56 yards the last time I checked. I rocked that chicken's world. One thing from a purely tactical standpoint is a lot of guys with a charging handle on the right hand side like that. Again, you're speaking of like this is the one thing that's more shotgun related, that's more like an AK-47 versus an AR-15 where your charging handle is right here on the top and you slide it back. So you usually have access with it with your left hand. Simply charge this thing like you would an AK-47. If you like doing it from top, that's fine, but it's not quite as tactical. But if you dropped your magazine and simply rotate your hand around, you have easy access to the bolt. So you may be shooting like this, dump your mag, reach around, charge the thing, and you're right back in action again. What I probably don't recommend is dropping your magazine, taking your hand off the trigger and the grip, charging it, and then going back. There's too many range of motion things that could go wrong right there. Keeping this strong hand on the pistol grip and right near the trigger and doing what you have to do here gets you back in shape and position and in the fight a whole lot faster. Well guys, I sort of ran out of time. I'm running out of daylight right now. I'm back at the house and I gotta tell you, this is a pretty cool gun. This VR80 by Rock Island Armory is something that I've probably been looking forward to for quite some time. And when it finally came out, I was excited to be one of the first guys to actually get my hands on one. You've got to try this thing, guys. This thing is so much fun to shoot. It's so easy to handle. You're not gonna have an issue with the thumb hole and the buttstock combination. Although again, like I said earlier, you can change it out. This is probably one of the nicest forends you're gonna find on any weapon, let alone a shotgun. The shroud is a cool touch. The flip-up sights, the box-fed capability, along with 5, 9, and 19 round magazines. The versatility of this weapon is the reason why you're gonna wanna get one. Again, as I stated, you're gonna like it for home defense, if you shoot competition, 3-gun, if you hunt. There's so many things you can do with this. I'm excited to see Rock Island Armory step outside of the box. I know they have their MAPP, their MAP guns that are kind of delving into the whole polymer world that, as we know it. That's going to be interesting. I'm going to get my hands on one very soon. I'll be able to show you guys. But we know them from their Rock Island 1911s. Seeing them step out of their comfort zone and jump into shotguns is refreshing to me because it shows me that they're not scared to pass their quality on to something else that's outside, again, of their comfort zone. The VR80 by Rock Island Armory, you gotta try one. If you get a chance to get your hands on one, do it. If you're in the Southeast Texas, Southwest Louisiana areas, look me up. Shoot me an email, paul@legallyarmedamerica.com. You're welcome to shoot mine, because after you shoot mine, you're gonna buy one.